Have you ever had that feeling, you know, that little voice telling you, okay, do this thing, maybe start something new, but what comes out is just, I'll do it later.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a common default, isn't it?
It really is. And it feels, well, it feels kind of protective somehow.
Like you're being sensible.
Yeah, sensible. With your time or your energy, maybe your peace of mind, you tell yourself, I'm just waiting for the right moment.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, there's this hidden cost, you know?
Mm-hmm.
A subtle one, but it's definitely there. That waiting game.
Okay.
Well, it feels like you're shielding your resources.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It often just kind of holds you back,
Hey,
anchors you.
an anchor. I like that.
Yeah, like a hidden weight is how it's sometimes described. It just builds up every time you say, not yet, or maybe later.
Mm.
And pretty soon, that fear of actually moving forward, it started off looking like good planning, like prudence.
Right.
But it ends up being the very thing stopping you from, well, really living.
Wow. Yeah. That internal battle is so real. So that's actually what we're diving into today. We've got some really thought-provoking stuff from Jennie's English podcasts on her YouTube channel.
Oh, Jennie's work.
Yeah, and she gets right into this difference between just delaying and actually genuinely living. And she uses her own experiences, reader comments, too. It's quite candid.
Okay, so our mission then for this deep dive is really to unpack why. Why do we get stuck in that maybe later loop so often? We want to look at how fear pulls off this trick, making itself sound like pure logic,
Yeah.
rational reasons to just pause.
Yeah, the disguise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And crucially, what can you actually do? What are some small concrete steps you can take, like right now, to find some clarity, find that courage, and get some real momentum going in your own life?
So it's about action, not just thinking about it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Moving from just mulling it over to actually doing something, concrete action.
Okay, let's get into it then. Jennie points out something interesting, right? That maybe later it sounds so gentle, harmless, totally harmless.
Yeah.
And reasonable. It doesn't sound like fear, does it? It sounds responsible. You think, oh, I'm just being careful or letting things ripen, you know?
Right.
But here's her key point. Often, maybe later, is just fear wearing a really, really clever disguise.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've definitely caught myself telling myself I'll finally sort through that massive folder of digital photos later. But deep down, it's just the thought of starting is overwhelming. It feels easier to just not.
And that just shows how fear doesn't always shout, right?
Yeah.
It's not always panic or this big sense of dread.
No.
Often it's much quieter. It puts on this like veneer of logic. It whispers these arguments that sound so rational. Oh, you should wait till you have more experience, or now's not really the right time. Or maybe even, look, others are doing it better anyway, so why bother?
Oof, yeah. Heard those.
And because they sound plausible, we accept them, we nod along.
Yeah.
But underneath that, there's often a simpler truth.
Yeah.
You're just scared. And the source material is clear on this fear itself, not the enemy. But letting that fear dictate inaction, that's what keeps us stuck. That's what stops us from growing.
That really connects with this story Jennie shares, actually, about a writing project she wanted to start, something personal.
Okay.
And she kept putting it off. You know the drill. I'm too busy, or I'm not sure if it's any good, or the classic, I'll start next month.
The usual suspects.
Exactly. But she eventually realized the real block, it wasn't time, it wasn't even about whether it was good enough, it was fear.
Fear of what specifically?
Fear that it might disappoint her. Fear that if she really poured her heart into it, gave it her best shot, and it still didn't feel right, that would be a kind of sadness she wasn't quite ready to face. So maybe later was like this shield.
A shield against potential heartbreak.
Yeah. Quiet self-protection.
And that ties right back into that idea of the hidden weight, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, what Jennie found and what the source highlights is that the longer you put off something that actually matters to you, the heavier it feels.
Right. It grows.
Exactly. What starts as just a little pause, we'll get to it, can slowly morph into this huge, insurmountable seeming barrier in your mind.
Yeah.
Which then begs the question, right? What happens if you just take one small step? Like, what's the power in just opening the notebook, like she mentioned? Or just taking that one single honest step, even when you're not sure?
And she found that doing that one small thing, it triggered something powerful, a realization.
Which was?
That fear's real power isn't just in its presence, it's in our inaction, in letting it stop us.
Okay, so you don't need to not feel the fear.
Exactly. You don't need to be totally fearless to start. You just have to stop letting fear have the absolute final word. For her, it wasn't about like writing the perfect first paragraph. It was literally just opening the notebook.
Such a small act.
Seems tiny, right? But those small actions, they're the levers. They shift the energy. They actually change your direction.
That's such a profound insight there. That action creates the clarity.
Yeah.
Courage doesn't necessarily come before you leap. It often shows up as you're taking the step.
Right, in the doing.
The source really emphasizes this. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need some big sign from the universe or even, a more confident future version of yourself.
Yeah, waiting for future me.
Right. What if the you right now, the unsure you, the imperfect you, maybe even the slightly tender you, what if that's exactly who needs to begin? What if this moment right here is actually perfect? Already right
For
there.
kindness.
Yeah.
Life doesn't always bang down the door, does it?
No.
Sometimes it just kind of leaves the door cracked open a little, just slightly ajar, waiting to see if you'll notice, if you'll actually walk through.
And if you don't?
Well, that's where regret starts to creep in, isn't it? Quietly. It doesn't usually show up with fireworks. It just settles in over time. And the regret isn't usually about, oh, I tried that and it didn't work out. It's about standing still. It's the what if, the forever wondering what might have been if you'd just nudge that door open.
And this really brings that crucial difference into focus, doesn't it? The difference between, say, a temporary risk and the slow burn of lingering regret.
Okay, explain that difference.
Well, we're kind of wired to avoid pain, right? Failure, embarrassment, rejection. We naturally want to sidestep those. So the instinct is often to play it safe.
Makes sense.
We operate on this assumption. If I don't try, I can't fall. If I don't put myself out there, I won't get rejected. And in the short term, yeah, that feels like self-preservation. It feels safer.
Yeah.
But the source makes this powerful argument. Playing it safe isn't always safe. Sometimes, actually, it's the riskier path in the long run. Because what you're doing, quietly, bit by bit, is you're shrinking your world. You're shrinking your potential life just to avoid temporary discomfort.
Wow. Shrinking your world to avoid discomfort. That's potent.
Isn't it?
Because you're right. For most of us, the sting of a rejection, it fades. Awkward moments, they pass. Even failures, they often turn into, like, good stories later or important lessons.
Exactly. They become part of your experience, part of your growth.
But regret, that's different. That's the one that, as Jennie puts it, kind of sits with you quietly.
Yeah.
And it just keeps asking that question over and over. Why not?
That haunting, why not?
Yeah. Because you didn't just lose the moment itself. You lost the version of you who might have grown from that experience. The person you could have become through trying.
That potential self, that's what's lost. And that loss, the source suggests, can feel much heavier, much more enduring than any temporary setback.
Right.
The core idea here really is that you probably won't regret being brave. And bravery, again, it isn't about not feeling fear. It's about doing it anyway.
Despite the fear.
Despite the fear. Because, deep down, that your future self deserves that chance, deserves that experience. And the source gives us these really powerful questions to ask ourselves. What have you been avoiding because it feels risky? Just identify it. Then ask, what would happen if you actually tried? And then, what would happen if you never tried at all?
Okay, that's a comparison.
And finally, which one feels heavier? Which scenario carries more weight for you? That's the real inquiry to sit with when you feel stuck in that maybe later place.
Which one feels heavier? That really cuts through it. So, okay, let's circle back then to the heart of this. You don't need to wait until you're fearless to start.
Not at all.
You just need to stop giving fear the veto power. Stop letting it have the final word.
Exactly.
And transformation, real change, it doesn't always need to be this huge, dramatic event. It doesn't always roar. Often it's just a whisper. And it sounds a lot like, hey, you could begin now.
Just now.
Yeah, this moment.
Right.
Right now.
Yeah.
With all the uncertainty, all the imperfections. That's your doorway. That's your starting line.
And it reinforces that stark difference we talked about between that temporary risk and the weight of regret that sticks around.
Yeah, the lingering kind.
Risk is fleeting, right? Rejection passes, awkwardness fades. Failures honestly do become lessons, part of your story. But regret, as Jennie really highlights, that's the quiet companion.
The one asking why not.
Endlessly asking why not. Because when you choose inaction, you don't just lose that single chance, that moment. You lose the future you who could have emerged from it, who might have discovered something vital.
That potential self.
That potential. And once that's foregone, Well, you can't really get that back, can you? It's irreplaceable.
So here's a final thought then for you listening. If life doesn't always knock loudly, if sometimes it really does just leave the door slightly ajar,
Yeah.
what is that one thing? That one thing your heart's been quietly holding on to, maybe hoping for, or just gently nudging you towards? What's one small step? Doesn't have to be huge. One small, honest step that you feel ready, truly ready to say yes to right now. To actually walk through that slightly open doorway and choose. Choose truth over
Well,
fear.
just one step.
Just one. Because, as the source reminds us, your life is happening now, right now. And even if it's just one tiny step forward, it's still movement. It's still courage. It's still you choosing to live, not just delay.